Good evening and welcome to another episode of The Fire Caves, a Star Trek Deep Space Nine podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Perry.
And I'm your host, David. Tonight we're talking about Season 7, Episode 23, Extreme Measures. Before we continue, you can find us on Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube as The Fire Caves, a Star Trek Deep Space Nine podcast.
That is correct. And as I say every single week, you should find us and follow us because we are great, we're awesome, we're a good time, and we're a little sad because we're almost done with this show. I don't know what we're going to talk about next. I've been racking my brains for ways for us to drag this out a little longer, but 3 years, 4 years, maybe that's a good run. If we look at the way that current shows are being run, that's about the length that we're ever going to get anyway. So we might as well stick to that. Um, but no, we are here to talk about extreme measures. It's a weird, kind of crazy episode. There's a lot of last minute changes that were made to this one that we're going to get into later on as we break this one down that kind of explain why it was such a weird, crazy episode. But before we do all that, I would like to give us our weekly check in. So, David, how has your week been?
Week's been good. It's been busy at work. Got notice that the store I run is most likely going to be shut down in 2 weeks, so that's running down soon. They'll just move me in the meantime after that to a different store until things do finalize a bit, which is fine because I'm in the middle of doing some. I think I mentioned recently that if I do this life insurance gig thing that has come up, then I need to get trained for it. And so I've been taking an online class for the last several days. I had started it last time we met, but I didn't realize how intense it was going to be. And it's not intense in like that it's like hard per se. Like I've been doing fine and studying is even fun, but like the amount of content I have to get done, like the guy told me it would take 25 hours. I'm like, I don't know about 25. Like I'm thorough. I'm trying to try to do a thorough job. Or like they
Hmm.
have quizzes throughout the studying process, and like I'm making sure I'm still. I want to score in the 90th percentile every time. I don't want to be scoring anything lower than an 80. Because I don't want to hate to take the test and then something actually blow up in my face. So I'm trying to take it slow, and it's like, oh man, I don't know if taking it slow is a bad idea in the sense that it's taking so long, but it certainly has been interesting. That means that I haven't been reading much, other than I think I said last week, just like the fall and decline and fall of the Roman Empire, just reading bits of that. But yeah, work's been busy. Uh, yeah, so kind of meh in that sense, but yeah. How about you?
Well, I've pretty much been doing the same. I've also been trying to get further along in my own studies here in learning SQL and things like that, SQL and Python. And there's one other one. I haven't started that one yet, but we'll get there. Trying to learn all those. I think that um, they're very fascinating, and seeing as how they're kind of like the foundations behind a lot of the stuff that we do online. I think it's really, really interesting to have some kind of background and understanding in that. And I mean, who knows what I can turn it into later on? We'll
Right.
see. It's not really the goal at this point. It's more like just learning it and knowing it.
Hmm.
Um, I did hurt my back, so you all will forgive me. We are making this show a little extra because I am drinking wine while we do the show because I hurt myself and I feel like I deserved it. And we're not going to go into how I hurt myself. That's all you need to know is that I hurt myself. It's my back, the ever problematic back. I think I've heard it like in the course of this show, maybe half a dozen times already, doing stuff. So, whatever.
Right.
I still have been reading the Expanse philosophy book. Again, it's a great book. Like, there are just so many moments where I've like finished a section and then put it down and been like, huh, never thought of that,
Yeah.
And then, in addition, I've been listening to the companion novellas for the Expanse series
Hmm.
on
Hmm.
Spotify, and they're great. They're weird. They should all come with some kind of a warning label because there's always something about them. It's a little bit off, but the churn so far has
Was
proven to be
Yeah.
the
I don't think
most.
anything will nothing will
No.
that one. That's for sure.
I'm currently on, I believe it's called The Vital Abyss.
Hmm. That,
That's the one with Cortazar.
yeah.
And I'm just starting it, but I'm already interested because that character fascinated me um, when the show was running, of course.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested to see. This is kind of like his beginnings from like when we kind of lose track of him from Thoth Station and everything else, and kind
Hmm.
of running through there. So I'm really interested in that. And I'm loving the fact that the I know there's an order, but the way that they're being presented on Spotify, they don't tell you what the order is. So they're just like there and you select one to listen to it. So I've been really enjoying that. Um, but yeah, I guess I'm like in all the expanse companion stuff right now. So maybe we'll do some episodes or two about all of those things as we get further down the road. I
Sure.
am really excited to get into their new book series and find out what it's all about because it is another sci-fi series. They don't, as far as I can tell, they don't make any mentions of the Expanse. I don't see why they would, but at the same time, since I don't know anything about it, I think it would be fantastic to find out this is also a part of that same greater universe that they've
Yeah.
been building and creating. I don't want them to put it down. I want them to keep going in other ways and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah. I
we'll see.
agree. Yeah.
But yeah, that's been about it for me, other than, of course, our show and getting ready for our show. So I'm definitely ready to dive into all that. So as we said, we're talking about um, extreme measures. Man,
Yep.
there it is.
You got it.
All
Yep.
right. So we've already decided I was going to be doing the recaps on these shows because we are here at the end. We want to make sure we have a little bit of continuity here. I am just going to be hitting the highlights because there is so much, and especially when you're doing this end run of the series where they all connect. There's too much to keep having to, do too much detail on. We're going to get to it anyway. Okay. So basically, all you need to know for this one is Odo is still sick. Kira and Garrick have returned from their mission when they were with Legate Damar, as he's being called by the Underground, and they've basically dropped Odo off at Deep Space Nine. They were successful in getting a Dominion ship that had a Breen or a weapon installed on it, so that the Federation can study it and figure out how to, make some kind of countermeasure to it.
Right.
Um, Bashir has made exactly zero progress in his coming up with a cure for Odo. He's been trying various things, doesn't seem to have any, hope. He's got a couple other options that may extend Odo's life, but nothing that's a solid cure. He and O'Brien have been going back and forth on whether or not they're going to, um, set a trap for someone from Section 31 to come out and find a way to coax them to give them the cure. And in this episode, we see where basically O'Brien forces the issue and gets Cisco involved. And he's like, yeah, we came with this other option. We didn't know what to do or not. And they kind of just lay it all out for Cisco, who's like, yeah, I can see why you didn't want to tell me because everything that you were just saying is highly illegal and I wouldn't have let you do it. And he also becomes aware of their suspicion about Section 31 infecting Odo in the first place, which I like to think is what softens him to their plan. You
Right.
know, when he figures out that Section 31 may be involved in the genocide of a people, no matter who the enemy is, genocide is wrong. And so Cisco's like, yeah, we got to figure something out, at least for the sake of helping Odo.
Right.
So he agrees to give them his support on what he calls a long shot plan. They've decided to go forward with this. And who other than the Section 31 man himself, Sloan, shows up. And he is there to destroy the cure that he believes that Bashir has developed because that was part of the trap they set. They sent a message to Starfleet Medical saying he had found a cure, knowing that someone from Section 31 was going to show up and try to destroy it. They didn't plan on it being Sloan, but hey, what you gonna do?
Right.
They trap Sloan in the force field. They then shoot Sloan with the phaser to knock him out. They bring him to a lab where they're going to hook up these Romulan brain sifter things that we saw them use in the Inter Armin Legis episode. That they're going to
Oh,
be able to
not too long
extract.
ago. Yeah.
Yes. So they're going to be able to extract this information from Sloan. Sloan, recognizing that he's pretty much out of options, decides that he would rather die than give them the cure that they seek. And so he basically takes the 24th century equivalent of a cyanide pill and tries to kill himself right there on the table. Bashir is able to stabilize him, but they know that it's temporary. They've got about an hour or so to figure out how to get the information from Sloan before he well and truly dies. And Bashir, being the genetically engineered genius that he is, comes up with a very convoluted, schemy, techno whatever to link his brain with Sloan's brain in order to sift through all of whatever Sloan is to find this information.
Mhm.
Um, O'Brien agrees to help, but on the condition that he gets to go into Sloan's brain with him, which makes absolutely no sense. But hey, whatever. They're friends. They do this thing.
Right.
They go into Sloan's brain. They get the runaround trying to figure out the cure. We're on the station for some part of being in Sloan's brain, which again didn't make any sense to me because Sloan wasn't a member of the Deep Space Nine crew. So why would there be an image of the station so solid in his brain? Would it be somewhere else? Whatever. It
I'm
happens.
gonna say it now just to get out of the way. This episode relies heavily on a lot of really,
Yeah,
really,
a
but I
lot.
mean it's a fun episode, but it's still there's a lot of things you're
Oh
like,
yeah.
okay, all
In
right, I'm
fact,
just gonna go with it.
that's one thing I was gonna talk about. Like if you change the dramatic backdrop music that they use in this one to some of that more Tinkerbelly upscale campy crap they used to use in like early episodes of TNG, the total mood of this episode changes and it's actually hilarious. So but yeah, I was gonna talk about
Like
that later. But
you
yeah,
gotta keep like a list of that is an interesting coincidence. That's something curious.
yes. Like the whole episode, you're just going, huh, really? Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, like all
Again,
that.
it's I'm not gonna say this is a bad episode. I'm gonna get ahead of just
No.
say it now, but there are definitely a lot of ticks of like, okay, all right,
Mhm.
okay, all right, oh, okay.
So that happened. That happened. That's what I was saying a lot. So they get into Sloane's brain. They get shot at one point. They do try to leave Sloane's brain, but it doesn't work. Then they think they have left Sloane's brain, only for Bashir to discover, because of a book he was reading, that they hadn't actually left Sloane's brain. So now they go back to the place where apparently the guard who shot them was guarding, get into that room and they find the last remnants of Sloane's brain. He's got like all these, memories of various things from Section 31, which Bashir can't seem to really resist at this point. He's, very eager to know all these things that Sloane knew, but thanks to O'Brien being there, he keeps him on the straight and narrow there, and he's like, "Get the cure for Odo. The rest of this doesn't matter." They do find the cure for Odo. They let Sloan die. They give the cure to Odo, and it works. Something that we don't get to totally see. We see the injection, and then we see kind of that little melty moment, and then he's back. But that's it. That's essentially the whole rundown of the cure thing. This episode was mainly about Bashir and O'Brien curing
100%.
Odo.
Yep.
Most of the other stuff for the other storylines they didn't really cover at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's this one. Um, I think they did it because one, it is a major plot point to wrap up. We didn't want to see another main character die the way we saw, Jadzia die. So yeah, that was very important. It is also important to note that Kira and Garrick have left the station. They had to rendezvous with Damar to begin the next part in their plan. Kira did not want to go, but Oda was like, "I'm going to die, and I don't want you watching me die.
Right.
So go." And
Right.
so she and Garrick leave. That's why they're not there when he gets cured. But
Right.
that's it. That's essentially the episode.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I'll say this. I was, looking on Wikipedia just now before we started recording, and there's one of the responses to this episode was negative in that, like, why did we spend so much time on this one plot point? But this is Bashir and O'Brien's episode.
Yeah.
They've kind of been on the back burner for a little bit with these finale episodes. But they've been there, obviously. But like, this is their chance to shine. It's also an episode that focuses on their friendship a good bit. There's a whole conversation about uh,
He
I
loves
love
Keiko, but I like you more.
right, yeah, which is a fun little conversation. Though it did feel while I was watching it, because that's after they've been shot and they're kind of like, "Are we dead or not? Can we escape from this brain or not?" I did feel like that scene and an earlier scene where Sloane's like good version of himself like apologizes to all his friends and family for like being this secretive dude. And I felt like those scenes were filler. Like they chose to make this episode about the Bashir and O'Brien getting this cure, and maybe you're going to explain like they had other things planned, but they decided to
Mhm.
focus on this, and so they had moments they realized they needed to get some filler. They needed to like fill in some of the spaces that they had otherwise left open. And that did mean this episode felt slow at times, and then had to
Yes.
kind of move quickly for other reasons at other points. This episode definitely feels a little jarring. There's a lot of things where you have to just go along, excuse me, with the logic of what's happening. Um, we can talk about that more, obviously, but
Well, let's
again,
go
it's
ahead
not
and
like a
talk about it. We can go ahead and talk about it now because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
basically this episode, while important, it was hindered by money. Okay, that's
Mm,
like the long and short of it. They knew they were coming up on the end of the series. They had this grand plan for a major finale. Whenever you do finales like this, and they know there's going to be a lot of CGI work and things like that, obviously those things, especially back then, had a primo cost on them. So especially towards the end of the show run, you're trying to cut that budget as much as possible so that your end, the truly, some could say, the truly memorable part of the show goes
is
out the
that
way that it needs to.
right?
And so there had been a whole plan to do this whole labyrinthine type setup for Sloane's mind, with each corridor and door hiding a different aspect of his personality in Section 31. And they were going to have to like kind of overcome a lot of these things and interact with them on different levels. And, we see some of that here with this kind of dual Sloane, where we see like this very bright, positive Sloane, and then we have this uber secretive, dressed in all black Sloane. But I think that that would have made more sense if we had seen other altered versions of Sloane
Yeah.
pop up and doing other things. But
Mhm.
again, for the sake of money, they really just couldn't afford to do all of the costume changes and the set changes. And there was a
Yeah.
plan for a greater set that had different layouts and intricacies and so forth. But again, money made that impossible.
Yeah, so they instead hired like 10 extras, said, stand in this room and look concerned while our character over here gives a little speech, and
I
then
mean
clap, and then we'll be done."
I mean, they're definitely extras, but I would argue that they're probably people who were always on the set. They just aren't in makeup anymore. Like Deep Space Nine
Oh,
had a bunch of people that were always around in alien
true,
getup because it
true.
was supposed to be a space station. So they probably just
Ah,
took the same people and said, "Guess what? Today, no makeup today. Just
your real
wear some
face will be
clothes."
seen for the
Right.
first time. Yeah, that's just one episode of, or one moment of several where you're like, well, I feel like it was that scene again, the Keiko, I love her, but like you moment where it felt like I was watching it and I'm like, this feels like filler. And then when Sloane is giving that speech too, I was like, guys, I mean, this is kind of like you're in a dream where like you can't control everything going on, but it felt like it was a clear misdirect. It was like, hey
Yeah.
guys, he's misdirecting you. You need to like push him to like take you where you want to go.
I also feel like this episode was kind of a rip on a season 6 or season 7 episode of Next Generation where they were inside um Data and they were doing the same thing. Like, I don't remember if it was season 6 or season 7, but I know it's a later season episode. And the crew is infected with these transphasic aliens. And Data can see them, but he's interpreting them through his dream program that he's
Mm.
got. And that's the
Oh,
episode where he stabs Deanna in the shoulder because he sees a mouth on her shoulder and he's trying to cut the mouth out of her. And
I
that's
don't
the one
remember that episode.
where Riker has one attached to the side of his head. And so when Data sees him in his dream, he's got a straw sticking out the side of his head that Beverly is
Sucking on.
slurping out of. And
Huh.
then there's the giant cake in the middle of the 10 fort, and it's Deanna's body, and Worf is eating the cake, and he's just loving the flavor of the cake and stuff.
Oh, man, I am not remembering that
Oh
episode.
yeah, it's a wild one, just like this, and then if I remember correctly, Picard and Geordi hook Data to the holodeck so that they can see what his dreamscape is to see what's going on, and they figure out that these transphasic little alien parasites came on board when they were replacing one of the EPS conduits, and it's infected everybody. And the Sigmund Freud holodeck program is telling Data to kill them all. Yeah. It was a weird one. And so and then it turns out like they don't like Data because Data emits this weird sound that hurts them. And so when they hook him up and make him emit the sound, they drive the things off the ship. But it's a strange episode, but it's also like kind of fun because like you have to put it together like what's going on, like the straw in Riker's head, the mouth on Deanna's shoulder, the phone in Data's stomach, the like it's just a bunch of random things. And I swear it's like someone was tripping hard when
Yeah.
they wrote this, and someone said, you know what, screw it. It's the last season. We don't care. Film it. Do it. So
Oh,
but yeah,
man.
this is kind of that. And I mean, I think this episode would have worked better if we had more of those scenes. We would have had more of random Sloans, like maybe a young Sloan before he was recruited into Section 31, where he was highly idealistic and wanted to be a Starfleet officer. And so he sees these two Starfleet officers and immediately wants to help them. And then we have older, jaded Sloan who's like, nah, we're going to kill everybody. Like all these little things would have played out a little bit better. But yeah, money being what it is, they were like, nah,
Yeah.
we're not. We can't do that.
Well, before we get to any critiques of anything else or just anything else, I also want to say this. Part of the reason I like this episode is because I'm a huge Christopher Nolan fan and I love Inception in particular. And so this episode definitely has an Inception feel to it. They got a device, they have to go into someone's mind. And, Inception is about planting information, but normally there's supposed to be heists where they take information out of people's brains. So this is like Christopher Nolan watched this episode, was like, I can do it better, and made a
And
movie.
and was inspired and never let it go. 30
Exactly.
30 years later, we got Inception.
But he also must have watched it because when Sloan is doing his little speech about, I regret my life, he says to Bashir, he introduces Bashir to his wife and says something to the effect of, um, it's not what you believe, it's what you do that's important. And from Batman Begins, the line is, it's not what I am underneath, it's what I do that defines me. So I was like, this did Christopher Nolan watch this episode and take major inspiration from it? Because at the very least, I'm getting a lot of the ideas are crossing nicely
Mm.
with this episode.
It's possible. I mean, a lot of these guys, when they start to when you get to the point where they're being interviewed, Christopher Nolan, Steven Spielberg, whatever, you'd be surprised how many of them do point out stuff like Star Trek, Star Wars, whatever that they watched as kids and
Hmm.
came up doing. And I mean, the show is 30 years old, so I mean, it's conceivable he was watching it in college or whatever. He's doing film school or something, and he would have been able to watch these episodes.
Oh yeah, he
So
would have been in college when this was all
yeah,
out there.
yeah,
He was getting his first movie came out in 2000, and his first short called Following he filmed by himself with some friends in London. That's a fun little movie, by the way. It's only about an hour long. It's film noir, but if you like Christopher Nolan, it's got the timey wimey things are out of order storytelling. It's really good. It's a really good short film. But yeah. Anyway, while I was
that'd
watching
be
all of
called the
this,
deep cut. As we can clearly tell, David is a Christopher Nolan fan. So
I got all those movies. Yeah, I got film scripts over there on the on the bookcase.
hey, I'm not knocking it. I've
Better not. Better not.
got my own nerd corner over here of crazy things that I've got collected and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I may have a 1/16 size Batmobile there on the bookshelf.
Well, again, I still can't knock it. I'm building a large enterprise over there, so
Yeah, yeah. You have to show it
we
to
all
us
have.
when it's finally done if you can.
Yeah. Oh, I plan to. I plan to. I
Good.
plan on doing a special, and I feel like I would have had it done if it hadn't been for like the year and a half where they weren't selling parts,
Hmm.
whatever. But it is what it is. Um,
Yeah.
so what did you
Insomnia
think
is a
of
good
this
one.
episode?
Yeah.
What did you
Yeah.
think of this episode?
So I like the fact that Bashir and O'Brien are our focus. They have, like I said, they were kind of the back burner characters for a lot of the plot for a while. We haven't had an episode where the two of them have been. I mean, other than the episode where they talk about the Alamo and they have the little set that Worf critiques. That was only a few episodes ago, but like
Mhm.
they haven't had an episode together in a while. And it's just funny because if we remember season 1, Bashir annoyed the crap out of O'Brien initially and did not care for him. Call me Bashir, yes sir. All of that stuff early on. And now the two of them, they've been like friends for so long that Keiko is complaining. Um, and they have to have this little discussion about what is our friendship. Well, I do like you more than I like my wife, but I love her. But of course, the little annoying thing about the conversation is that Bashir reveals his deep, passionate love for Esri as well, and we're like, okay, all right,
Oh my
okay,
God,
Bashir,
spare me the.
exactly,
Yeah, I kind of blocked that part out. I, it's one of those things that, like, as a kid watching this and hearing him say that probably wouldn't have bothered me at all. Wouldn't have thought anything of it. Of course, he loves her. That makes sense. They're great friends. They share a lot in common. They work together. They practically live together. Um, but as an adult and looking back and being like, there just hasn't been enough time for that kind of emotional buildup. Now, I'm sure there are people who want to argue love at first sight, no, I instantly knew, and whatever else. Sorry, I'm not one of those people.
right,
I do believe that you can, on first sight, be attracted to someone. That after a few conversations, you can find, common interest, things that would propel you to continue to develop that, and
right,
then get to a point where you're like, oh, I really do have deep feelings for this person. But for these individuals who have known each other, and I'm going to be generous, known each other for 3 months, she is literally the embodiment of the friend he had known for years who died horribly, by the way.
right,
For him to suddenly already be so, I deeply, passionately love her. No, you don't.
yeah,
And I think that if this show was done now, that would be one of the things that they would change, and into the more to make it like you can still have them being a love interest, but maybe draw out that a bit more and get both of them to reconcile with the fact that, again, she's not Jadzia. Like, do you love Esri, or do you love that this is a
Godzilla
second chance?
reborn, yeah,
Right, a second chance with Jadzia. Like, what is it?
yeah,
Um, but this is, it's set an unfortunate precedent in Star Trek, and it's one that, as Vincent pointed out here, was followed up on in Star Trek Voyager, which is shoehorning in late stage relationships.
no spoilers. I haven't watched
But
it yet.
yeah, I had to mention it because he throws it into the chat here. But
Yeah,
yeah, David
thanks,
hasn't
Vincent.
seen it, so now he knows what's coming in season 7 of Voyager. Thanks,
Whatever.
man. But yeah, I mean, it's just like it's that kind of thing, and it's to a greater point, that whole shoving relationships into existence where they never were before has now become almost a recurring trope that all Trek does. Even the newer franchises do it. I was just criticizing Strange New Worlds the other day when I was talking about it, and I mean, it's the first real criticism I've ever given of the show, and it's that they're doing that same thing with Spock. And the reason it's such a problem, in my opinion, with a character like Spock is because that character has been done. I mean, he's been done. You know, Spock is a OG and a legacy character. We feel like we know all of those things, and I mean, they're dealing with a very narrow window of time, which we didn't get to see this character. But I feel like it's a mistake to be like, since we never technically saw this 3 year, 5 year period, it's okay to make the character totally crazy or do things wildly uncharacteristic and just say, "Oh, that was a learning curve or whatever." No. If there's one thing that we have to agree on, it's that while people do have, you can have an experimentational phase or whatever, no one's really going to operate outside the dictates of their character to such a wild degree. Like,
Mhm.
especially when you're in positions like this, you kind of know who you are and what you're about before you could sign up to be in something like this. And so for someone to suddenly choose this as the time to, you know, go off and be completely different doesn't make any sense. And I wish that they wouldn't do that with characters, especially with well-established characters like Spock. If you want to do it with some of the other ones that we never really got to hear a lot of in the original series or in any movies or anything other, that may be fine, but not with established characters. And I don't like it when they did it here. They did it in Voyager, and now they're doing it on Strange New Worlds. They did it a bunch on Discovery. It's just I don't know what that's coming from, but I wish they'd stop doing that.
Right. Yeah.
All that to say, I'm not all that excited about the Star Trek Academy show either that's coming out. I've watched two promos now, and I don't know if I don't know. It might be the first Trek project that I skip. So
Come on,
just
Perry.
I'm just not interested in seeing a bunch of overly sexualized cadets running around, and
Mm,
everything is about feelings and not like, oh, this is a big moment. I've got anxiety. This is my first command. And am I gonna no, it's I don't want to leave so and so because we had such a great connection in xenobiology and now I'm gonna go shut up.
yeah.
I'm already bored.
Yeah.
Just I don't care. So the ship is blowing up all around you, but you're worried about uh, you know,
Girl over
old,
here.
old
Yeah.
girl who you already broke up, but you just can't you can't function. Nah, spare me the angst. Give me something else. But anyway,
Right.
back to this show that we're
Yeah.
talking about. This one, um, you talked obviously O'Brien and Bashir and the evolution of their relationship. I still remember the moment in I believe it's season two, and they were talking about their burgeoning friendship, and O'Brien says, "I used to hate you, but now I don't." And he's like, "Oh, so you like me?" He's like, "No, I just don't hate you. I don't not like you anymore. That's it. We're
Yeah.
not friends. I just don't not like you."
Right.
And now here they are talking about, oh, you love your wife, but you like me a little bit more, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Their character arcs have probably been some of the most stark in that sense. Kira's obviously Kira was the shining character in season one especially. Um, I mean, she was such the shining character in season one that I don't think anything has ever matched up to her run on season one. There have been moments, of course, uh, but yeah, the slow evolution of I hate working with this guy. He annoys the crap out of me. To I don't not like you. To I like you more than I like my wife. Like that's just so
Well, and
funny.
and we've seen some great friendship moments between the two of them. The holodeck adventures, the episode where they were trapped by the rogue Dominion soldiers, and they're having their, we'll call it a difference of opinion on how to handle those rogue Dominion soldiers.
Right.
The episode where the lady from the Lexington who was first in her class and Julian was third and he didn't want to go meet her and we see the two of them drinking scotch in O'Brien's quarters singing old drinking songs. The number of times we've seen them coming out of the holodeck having, you know, played some wild WW2 adventure or something like that. All kinds of crazy stuff that we've seen them do. It's all been tangential, sure, but there has been a build of a bond between them, and this episode just further solidifies that. And I
Mhm.
like that. It's like it is a good consistent thread that they weave throughout all 7 seasons. I just wish that in some aspects we had seen a little more.
Right. Right. Yeah. The the fact that Keiko doesn't show up is a little sad too, I guess, because
Yeah, I mean, they
seeing as
mention
all
her
that.
too, and she's not there.
Yeah. There's even that one scene where Bashir goes to O'Brien and says, "We're still in Sloane's brain." And I know that because if I went over to her, your wife is supposedly asleep in that room, but if I went over there, she wouldn't exist. Um, which is a great little moment. Again, it makes sense that you said that they didn't have a budget for this episode because that would have hiring what's her face to play the
Rosalind
character.
Chow.
There we go, Rosalind Chow. Again, she's one of the few character actors who hasn't shown up here at the finale. I hope she does show up
That's
in the
that's
finale.
true. She has not shown up. I don't think we've seen her all of season 7.
Not at all. And Jake has also been absent in these last couple
Yeah.
episodes.
Now I wonder if this was because Jake was also in school. If I'm remembering correctly, um, this would have been college years for him.
Okay.
So he might have been away
Right.
doing that. So
Right. Yeah. I
like that's always
imagine.
the crazy part about shows like this when you think about it. It's like, I mean, these people obviously have like real lives and things they've got to do. I mean, it's not like I feel like now it's more accepting for someone to be like, I'm gonna not go to college because I'm on this show and I'm gonna work this show for as long as it takes or whatever. Whereas back then they were like, well, I want to be on the show, but I really want to get my education. So it's like no one says that now. It's like, no, we get the money, man. Get the
Yeah.
money. You get the education later. You can pay for it yourself even. Get the money.
Get your check. Yeah. Um, Yeah, I mean, the fact that these two characters have been absent is a little disappointing. Rosalind Chow, I always it felt like her character was awkwardly placed. They always had a hard time figuring out what to
Yeah,
do with her character.
yeah.
Why is she absent for large periods if they live on the station together? Um, I feel like they could have made her work if they had tried make her like Quark, a character that somehow gets even little bits of screen time. I think Quark didn't appear this episode. Now that I think about it,
He did not. They did have an scene filmed, but they ultimately decided not to use it. I think it was also a money issue. They don't really say. It's just one of those. We got to move on, basically.
right?
Um,
Yeah, they did drink in his bar at the very end, and they kind of helped themselves to apparently a pretty nice, I guess, some whiskey. Was that whiskey they had?
yeah, that's what I took it as.
Yeah, which apparently is younger than Bashir,
Older than Bashir. It's
older than
older than
Bashir.
Bashir because he says this is older than me, and O'Brien takes and goes, "What?" He goes, "I'm drinking with a child."
Yeah, that's what it
When he
was.
looks at the
Yeah,
age, so which
yeah,
is hilarious. I mean,
yeah.
'cause, I mean, thinking about it, I mean, it couldn't have been. And that's the other part of it that always cracks me up too is that we're supposed to believe that these two are significantly different in age, at least a 10 to maybe even 15 or 20-year age gap. I don't know.
Right.
I'd almost say 20-year age gap because I'm positive. Maybe I read this somewhere, but when Julian came onto the station, he was like 28 years old.
Something like that.
And we watch him celebrate his 30th birthday on the station.
Right.
O'Brien is
He was at least
supposed to be,
40s.
yeah, I was going to say, I believe he's in his mid 40s. So, I mean, the reason why I bring it up is because here we are at the end. It's been 7 years. And I honestly, the two of them standing next to each other, I feel like they look the same age.
Right.
Like nothing about Bashir says to me, I'm younger than this man right here. Nothing.
Okay. So just as a quick reference, I'm looking up their ages. Colm Meaney was born in 1953. Alexander Siddig was born in 1965, which is a 12-year age difference. So using that as our basis, assuming the characters are equal
Okay. I mean,
age.
but that's not really saying anything because there's been plenty of times where they've, taken younger actors but then aged them up.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
I mean,
saying
heck,
just right. Yeah,
Patrick
yeah.
Patrick Stewart was 45 when he first took the role of Jean-Luc Picard,
6 year
but
old
the character of Picard was 59 when the show starts.
Right.
So, yeah, not there's nothing that says they couldn't have done the same thing here and just said that Julian was 27 when in
Right.
reality he was like 35, which would make some things later on make more sense, but
Right.
whatever. But it also makes things make less sense when, again, if you think about that, and it's like, oh, well, then he's actually in his 40s, and here comes Esri, who is, again, 27, 28 years old, and you got this 40-year-old man who's like chasing you around. So somewhere in there is an age discrepancy that's never adequately explained in regards to Julian Bashir. And
Hmm.
whether anybody will ever take the time to do the math to figure it out, I don't know. Not me. I don't really care that much. So then, since we already said that, Rosalind Chow, Keiko did not appear in this episode. Jake didn't appear in this episode. Um, Nog is not in this episode. Rom is not. Lita is not. But pretty much everyone else. We don't get an update on Adame and Ducat. This is
Yep.
now the second episode that we have not seen them in.
I can't wait to
Considering,
find out what comes next.
yeah,
It means the buildup is.
yeah, I was
Ooh.
gonna say, considering the buildup that we've had on those two and their story, it's interesting that now we've gone 2 whole episodes
Yeah.
and nothing. We've got nothing on them. Um,
I expect this whole time, don't say Ducat, man. Yeah, go
it is
Ducat.
Ducat.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you were
Yeah,
right. You did
for
it
some
right this
reason,
time.
Damar is now in my head as
Yeah,
the main
see,
guy.
that was me. That was me yesterday or last week. I couldn't stop saying Demar or Ducat.
Yeah. It'd be great to see Ducat has been suffering as a blind guy for 2 episodes, and um, Kai Wynn has been slowly figuring out how to release the paw race. And then we have, I assume that next episode, that's what's going to happen. We're going to finally get the release of the paw race, which will lead to the final episode, the two-parter, as a conclusion. We got to deal with the problems of the paw race as our, that's a fun idea. Like, normally when you think of antagonists, you think of like one antagonist, but there are so many characters that we've had built up, and they all have their own various plot lines that will have multiple antagonists. We have the Dominion as our physical threat, but the Paw race as the existential threat. That'll actually be kind of fun to see how if they can pull that mix of antagonists. If they can mix the story properly and get the antagonists to like work off each other to make a real great rock and hard place for our heroes to solve to save the day. Um, yeah,
Well, I can't tell you because I know,
yeah, of course you do.
so I can't
Yeah.
say. Always hard in these last moments, but I definitely think that you will be impressed with what they do and how they work their overlap.
Okay.
Um, I just think it's interesting that they decided to give us so much of that particular storyline, but then to intentionally give us nothing in 2 episodes. It almost feels like, you know, they're just ensuring that you're, geared up for what's to come.
Right.
So I like that. And even
Yeah.
though it's been a while since I've seen these episodes, because like I said, I haven't watched season 7 in so long. I'm really enjoying just kind of going back through it and watching these again with you and getting your take on the experience here.
Yeah.
Um, Back to characters that we do see a little bit of in the episode. We see Cisco a bit. We have a Cisco and Esri scene. Esri was the only person, I guess, who could discover that the guys were laying in the, science lab unconscious, hooked to Sloane's brain. How did she even know? Like, I feel like she gave an explanation for how she
She
came in the room.
did. She was supposed to be waiting for O'Brien to come fix her sonic shower. He never showed up. Never explained why he didn't show up. So she went looking for them. Okay, fine. Give her a reason to be in the episode. Worf is there to tell Bashir that Sloan is dead.
But that wasn't real Worf. That
That
was
wasn't.
fake
Yeah, that was
Worf.
fake Worf. Yeah.
Which, you know what? I just feel like personally I'd be mad as an actor if I had to come to work early. I had to sit in that chair for 8 hours while they
Oh,
put this crap on me,
whew.
all for me to be in a scene for 10 minutes and then
Not
I'm
well.
done.
The
I mean, I'm just
actual.
saying,
Yeah.
like, the overall filming of it probably took them no more than 10 to 20 minutes, but that's it, you know? I would like to believe that that's the reason why they had long shooting days. 'Cause, like, they often talk about how they shot these episodes, and it would be something like 16 to 18 hours a day of shooting. I
Just to
feel
give
like
those guys that are in the makeup a chance to get their
that's
scenes shot.
and
Yeah.
I feel like that they had to be shooting multiple episodes concurrently. Like,
Yeah.
okay, we're gonna do the setup. This is the scene for episode A, and then when you're done here, you're gonna walk across the lot and you're gonna do your scenes for episodes B, C, and D because those are just quick ones. You're gonna do
Right.
those, and then you're gonna come back and you're gonna finish over here, and then like that's the only way that that makes sense because there's
Yeah.
just no way you're sticking me in that like that's all day. Like think about it. That's
You've heard
all. Yeah,
you've heard Jim
can do it.
Carrey talking about getting dressed up as the Grinch, right? Have you heard that clip?
Yes,
And he
I
talks about
have.
he needed a CIA torture expert to help him like learn how to get through it. You know, have some cigarettes handy. If you need to like be jittery and like, get some motion out, do what you got to do. Like there's like a whole like routine that they gave him of like how to get through it. Um
I have always thought that if I had the opportunity, I would love to be an alien in a production of something, but but if I had to wear a bunch of prosthetics on my head and face, I know I wouldn't last. I
yeah.
just know it. It would take
Come
a
on.
lot for
You're
me,
on the set of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, the movie,
but
and they want you as
I can't feel the breeze on my face. I can't feel the I can't feel my skin. I just feel this tightness and this pressure all the
speaking of
time.
which, like Odo looks jacked up. I love how they made
Yes.
his he looks terrible. I love how bad they make him look. They were doing that in the last episode, but they
But
you know,
this
they
was really bad, especially they did a great job in the, neck
yeah.
area. It
Mhm.
looked gross. It was
Yeah.
all flaky and brown and mottled green and,
Yeah.
it just looked like if you just touched him, it was all just gonna paper mache in on you, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Ugh."
Yeah. Yeah, it's a curious scene too, that opening scene, because he says to Odo says to Kira, I don't want you to be here to watch me die. You already watched a call
Burial.
out to Barial from season 3. You watched Barial die in here. Um, I was kind of glad they did make that call out, because it's like, hey, we're near the end of the show. If you've been here with us, you know who Barial is. You'll know that he died here. It's true to the story. Um, I feel like Kira could have handled it. I think she's right. Like, it's my choice in some level, but Odo's like, no, I just would rather you go. Um, so like I like that the characters, like, they feel real in that scene. I have to say I've been slow to kind of like get on board this relationship and like the believing it, but at this point I feel like I can believe it when he says, "All I ever wanted to hear from you is I love you," and she says, "I love you," and she kisses him. Like, I believed that. The relationship has been a slow burn. I wish
Yeah, it
it could have
has.
had a bit more
Yeah.
excitement, some fun. Um, but fine, these last couple episodes, the idea at least is that the two of them are in sync. They got some in syncness going on. Not the band, but they are in sync together. And I like that. Odo has always been the stoic, character. He's gonna put up with, you know, dying painfully if he has to, but not because he is, you know, yeah, he'll put up with it if he has to. So yeah, that was a good little scene at the beginning, and it was good to see him recover so quickly. Though I do have to say, the idea that Sloan knew the cure, it was in his brain, and it was easy for, like, it was 4 words. It just that felt very. you had to just go with
Yeah.
it, kind of thing. I have to say, my initial thought was like, Sloane's not gonna know. He's like just an enforcer type. Like he doesn't know the actual like
Well, so
medical
they
blah blah
they
blah.
give you a reason for why Sloan knows.
Okay, remind me what that was.
So he says that in order for any person from Section 31 to come to destroy his cure, they would have to know
Oh,
what to look for.
right.
Otherwise,
That's
because even
true.
Sloan says, "Well, I could have just blew up your lab, destroyed your lab." He's like, "No, you prefer a more surgical strike. You would have specifically looked for the cure to destroy it, which means you would have had to know what to look for. So you had to recognize it.
Right.
That's why they know it's in Sloan's brain. Even if he
Right.
didn't come up with it himself, he would know what to look for because that's
True.
what he was there to destroy."
True. That's true. That is right. I still feel like that explanation is still slightly. We're still reaching a little bit. You could have said the container versus the actual. I don't know.
I just would have
It's
looked for this. I just would look for the container labeled Odo's Cure and blew
yeah.
it up. There you go. I
Exactly.
don't need to know what's in it. I just know it says Odo's Cure. Boom,
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. But I thought it was funny too when Bashir, he's like, there must have been 73 people in on it in order for this to have ever been successful. Like, interesting idea. Like, how does Section 31 get away with it? Do they have 73 people that they somehow have leverage on? Do they have some sort of
No,
shortcut that allows
you
them in? Like, what's going on?
you almost said it right. It's 31 people who are doing things. That's why it's called Section 31. It's
Ooh.
31 people. That's part of their cabal.
Well, that is kind of what he insinuated at the end there. He
Mm,
said there's a select group of people. Maybe it's just
with a certain,
31.
yeah. That's how they keep the ranks tight. Never more, never any less. Always 31. And when one dies, there's already somebody ready to take the place of that one. So they
Well, apparently Admiral
keep those
Ross
numbers.
is, at the very least, complicit with some of
Mhm.
that.
Well,
Maybe
you would need an
Bashir.
admiral. You would need an admiral
Yeah,
to do some of the things that they do. You can
right.
get away with doing certain things without the admiral knowing. That's how they compartmentalize.
Mm.
Only come to the admiral when you need some kind of blanket autonomy for something,
Or
But
or just you need someone to be doing official business to give cover to your unofficial
there you go.
business. Yeah.
Yeah.
I so I thought it was curious that. Well, I have to say this as you were recapping the episode and you were saying that they went to O'Brien forces Bashir to explain to Cisco what's happening. That was a perfect opportunity to explicate to the audience what was happening.
Mhm.
Because frankly,
We
Cisco
needed a
doesn't do
reason,
much.
right? We needed
Yeah,
a reason to know what they were doing. How can we give the audience that reason? Because
right,
we're all demanding to know, right? Well, who would they answer to? Cisco, of course, and
right,
he delivers. Man, I want to know what's going on right now. And I mean,
right,
it's just like he didn't even have to raise his voice, and you're already scared. You better tell that man what's going on, and by tell him, tell me.
right, right.
We're together.
Yeah,
We're in this.
I like that he gave Bashir the I you're the one who, or Bashir says I'm the one who didn't want to tell you, but that doesn't answer my questions. What Cisco says, like, what are you
Right.
doing?
You know what? That's the thing. Okay, I have to. That is one of my biggest pet peeves is when I ask you a question and you don't answer my question, but you answer what you
Because you
think is
want,
going to be the next question, or
yeah,
like because that's the next question is like, why didn't you tell me? And then he's like, well, he says what he says, but that's not why you didn't tell him.
right,
The reason you didn't tell him was you knew you'd have to inform Starfleet. That's the reason. You
right,
continued to not tell him because you then ordered O'Brien not to. Don't preempt me.
yeah,
Give me a chance to ask my questions.
right,
And I love that Cisco called them on that here because I do that
yeah.
all the time. My, my kid is that way. I ask her a simple question and she'll give me the answer to the question that she knows is coming, but not the one that I asked. And so I'm like, so
Right.
the answer would be yes. Well, yeah, okay, start there. Give me that first.
Yeah, yeah, it's great though. I loved watching Avery Brooks playing Cisco because whenever Cisco is having to deal with something, there's some sort of issue that has to be dealt. Cisco, Avery Brooks as Cisco, he's very soft spoken. He almost is not whispering, but his voice is very low, very quiet.
Very calm.
and it calm, and it's got that slight gravel
The
that
subtle threat, man.
yeah,
It's right
yeah.
there.
He's
It's like it's almost in every line he delivers.
yeah, yeah. Again, we said it since the beginning, but it would have been great if we could have given Cisco like he should have been admiral of the station. It should have really been focused around him more often. Uh, I didn't give him the Picard treatment. What can we say?
I always felt like, they were trying to go for truly an ensemble casting with Deep Space Nine. With it being a station, they were trying to show that there are many stories that are going on at any one time. So they
Right.
were trying to reflect that in the cast versus what you could do in Next Generation, where I mean they were trying it there, but ultimately the majority of the episodes in Next Generation are about Picard and Data.
Yeah.
Those two characters
100%.
monopolize time
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
And you can say whatever you want to, but um, yeah, that's why it would never really work with the way they do stories on Deep
TNG.
Space Nine.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
either
Yeah.
way,
I
if you
mean,
wanted to switch them out, like if we were to take the character, like the crews, and literally just do this with them, the stories wouldn't work. They'd fall apart quickly because the sudden need for, you know, in that case, Jadzia would be serving as the um, Data in that situation, and the way she handles things is completely different. And she has to have Cisco kind of rein her in a little bit because she is a little too playful at
uh,
times. So it would never work. Things like
yeah.
that would make it fall apart.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, and because TNG, the ship is always going from one thing to another. The episodes are more focused on the monster of the week, whereas
Mhm.
Deep Space Nine, we can have recurring characters, recurring plot lines. Again,
Get to know characters more. Get to know
yeah,
villains more.
Barial dying in season three. There's no TNG equivalent to Barial dying in season three and being brought up as a reference in season seven.
No, and we even got to. He was an indirect reference a few times because remember, after he dies, Kai Wynn comes to the station and finds out Kira is still praying and mourning Barial.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, you're still crying about that guy?" Like,
The one who I worked to death,
right?
literally.
I literally worked him to death. You're still crying about that? What's wrong with you?
I can't wait for her comeuppance, man. I cannot wait. It's gonna be glorious.
Oh, I have to admit, all I'll say on that is I was satisfied. That's all I'm gonna say. I was satisfied.
Good, good.
I did enjoy it. So
I'm just gonna predict now. We've named our show the Fire Caves, and again, I have never fully known the reference you were making, but if the whole time it was about Kai Wynn's comeuppance, there's some deep seated like hatred for the character that you just every time we said the Fire Caves, you just secretly giggled.
well, again, all I'm gonna say is couldn't have happened to a nicer woman.
Yeah, well, we'll
Yeah.
find out soon enough.
We will
Yeah.
find out. We've got 2 episodes left.
Can you believe it?
2 episodes. It is
Yeah.
ridiculous. Wow. Well, since we are kind of there already, I mean, was moving to some other things real quick. Final thoughts on extreme measures.
Yeah, I guess I'll just repeat it. It's a good episode in the sense of like we get Bashir, we get O'Brien here. Their relationship is allowed to have one last hurrah before anything else goes on and kind of takes center stage. As the characters who had the largest, their characters as friends had the biggest character arc. That's important. A lot of, I mean, I didn't like list off every little detail about you had to like go along with it, but there's enough things in this episode where you just have to accept, like the fact that Bashir has developed technology where you could now go into the minds of other people's memories. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Did that technology exist in any capacity before now?
Um,
Basically, how revolutionary
well,
is it?
I mean, it is, but at the same time, like, has something like this been done before? Yes. The Vulcan mind meld is typically the was the I guess the OG conduit for doing that. We see that used in multiple episodes of the original series. There's a couple of mine.
But
Well,
that's Vulcan mind meld, that specific thing, right? I'm talking
it
about
is.
the
It's
technology
there. So
like this.
technology wise, there is an episode of Next Generation where Deanna and her mother are linked together, and Dr.
Learns about her
Crusher
father.
Dr. Crusher is using the technology to monitor said situation, and it's where she learns about her sister who died.
Okay, that's what it was. Okay. That's the one with
And
the pool or
then
something, right?
yeah, she drowned.
Right.
And then there's the episode where Riker gets um he gets stabbed by something in the leg. And then Dr. Pulaski is controlling his memories and his emotional output to kill the alien virus in his leg, in his body.
Man, I
So
gotta rewatch
so
TNG, man, because these
yeah,
some of these things I'm like, I don't know, remember that episode at all, but okay.
and then, Voyager really kinda goes off the rails with it. There's like a intensive, um, mind meld that they do where the doctor also has to hook up Tuvok and Janeway's brains to make them match brain patterns so they can share an experience to root out a problematic memory engram that Tuvok has that's killing him. So there's that. Yeah, I feel like they like each show touches on it in some regard. This is the first time we ever see it where it's a bunch of humans. I think that's the unique part. It's
Right,
a bunch of humans. No one has any kind of advanced telepathy to do anything with. So now we're seeing an overabundance of relying on technology to get the thing done. No one's doing a mind meld or telepathic link or anything else that's then further monitored or enhanced by technology. This is from beginning to end, all relying on technology to do this thing.
right.
So that would
So
be the
that's
first.
yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Like, I mean, maybe Bashir goes on to develop this technology in the future, and this is just we're nearing the end of the TV show run, so it doesn't really get addressed again. But I do feel like it's such a continuity important technology that if it
Well,
doesn't reappear
S-
in some capacity, it's a loss.
Star Trek is replete with technology that is wonderfully revolutionary and then
we
never heard of again.
we never need to worry about it again.
Never.
Yeah,
We never. And just a quick reference, yeah, yes, Picard and Crusher do get mentally linked, but they are not inside one of their minds. They're like they get mental images and whatever, but they're still functioning as independent people. So that
right.
wouldn't technically count for this
It
either.
didn't do an inception and go into the brain.
Yeah, they did not go into the other person's
Yeah.
memories.
They didn't go
Um,
several. Oh, speaking of which, again, in this episode, there's the whole thing of we think we exited the dream.
we think we exited the dream is what he was going to say, but we actually didn't. Clearly, we're having some technical difficulties here. We'll just give David a second to pop back on, which he'll do when he does. Um, I'll just use this time really quick to talk about some new Trek stuff. As I already said, the new Star Trek, um, what's it called? The Academy show. Not really sure that I'm ready to watch that one yet.
Sorry.
Um, that's okay. Things happen. I
Don't
knew
know
you'd
what
be mad.
happened. I was just suddenly gone.
Yeah, I'll tell you more about that in a minute. We're gonna get there. Um, but yeah, I just don't think there's like again, like as we were saying before you got cut off. Um, Star Trek is there's constantly been technologies that they come up with and that we never ever see again, which
Right,
doesn't make any sense. They were
right,
revolutionary. You would expect there to be some kind of perfection of the technology that we see later on. Never pops up again.
right.
Um, I don't know why they do that. Like I guess ultimately it's a money thing. Like if it's too expensive to shoot, then they're not going to use it. But man,
I would say it's a storytelling thing. Stories need obstacles for people to overcome for the story to be interesting. And sometimes the technology is the thing that the obstacle of the story requires in order for the story to make sense. But unfortunately, it also then implies that that obstacle is never necessary ever again. So they go back to status quo of that obstacle shows up again, but suddenly that technology no longer is there to overcome it. So I get it. I get it. It's just funny. Like this episode, there's a number of things in this episode that you just have to swallow to take the episode in. And yeah, whatever. It is what it is. So yeah, that's my review of the episode. Is It's
Okay.
fun, it's fine. It's again part of this 9 episode finale arc, and it answers a big question that's coming up as a
Mhm.
part of that finale arc. And yeah, so everything else from here on in, like I can't wait to find out how it all wraps up.
Well, we are getting there. Like I said, we've got 2 episodes left. Real quick, as I was saying before, when David was cut off, the new Trek show, Starfleet Academy, that one is set to come out at the end of this year. So be on the lookout for that. They haven't officially said what day, but everything that I've seen about it, um, September is when it's coming. Like they want to try to act like it's not, but they're gonna make a big push for it around Star Trek Day with all the fanfare stuff they have been doing for that as well. Plus, it seems to be the last gasp of a cash grab for Paramount, Skydance,
Oh
CBS,
my
whatever you want to
gosh.
call it. They don't have anything else really going, and Strange New Worlds is going to be ending after its 5th season, so it seems all the more important that they really get this show up and off the ground. While there are fans that can transfer from Strange New Worlds to the Academy show, so I think there's going to be like a brief year of an overlap between the two shows, and then that's it. And considering that the shows run, 8, 10 episodes a season, it wouldn't be hard to make sure that you start one at a certain time and then right as it's ending, the other one come on. So it's not like you're going to be able to do like 2 hours of watching Trek every night. It will definitely one will end and then the other one will start and you'll just go on from there. I mean, that'd be the smoothest transition they could make to keep you up with having the same date and time that you tune in and get their ratings and get their money and everything else.
Right.
Um, I just don't know if I'm going to watch it. Like, sorry, I'm just too old to care about teenage angst and all that. Just yeah, not. Um, Vincent asked, "Would you want a fourth Pine Quinto Trek film?" I'm going to say no. Um, I've heard that they've been talking about doing another one. I know that several scripts have been floated around. I know even Tarantino had a script at one point. Simon Pegg, the guy who plays Scotty in the reboots, has also floated a script. Um, I just don't know if we really need another one of them.
Well,
I
there's
feel like that.
also
Go ahead.
the actor who died who played the Russian character.
Anton Yelchin, who played Chekhov.
Yeah, he
Yes,
died
that's true.
tragic death.
Um,
He got run over by his own jeep, I
by
think.
his own car, yeah.
Yeah.
And I also just feel like, I mean, beyond tragedies like that, I just feel like that era is done. We've got all the movies that they've done already with the reboot cast. We've got Strange New Worlds. We've got, like they're talking about doing a reboot TOS series because they love the guy Paul Wesley who's been playing Kirk in Strange New Worlds, playing a young Lieutenant
Hmm.
Kirk. And so they've been talking about doing kind of like a year one, whatever. And I even said how they could do that show again
Oh,
and
right.
not
Yeah, we
mess
talked
up.
about that last
Yeah,
week.
and
Yeah.
not mess up the original series timeline if they really wanted to, shoehorn something in there. But I mean, I feel like it's just time to move on, like go
Yeah.
in a different direction. Like you've we've done the 22nd century, we've done the 23rd century, we've done the 24th century, and we ended the most recent, Picard that ended right at the end of the 24th century. The next year would have been starting the 25th century. And you set yourself up for a show with a crew that's a mix of both legacy characters and new original characters. Why not go down that avenue and explore that? Your show that's now set in the far-flung future of the 32nd century, it's about a bunch of kids. And I mean, I get who you're trying to appeal to, but let's face it, the average Trek fan is in their 40s, not in their 20s. So you might want to think about retooling or at least having something. You could have two things. You can do one for a younger audience and also have one for an older audience too.
Right.
That would be fine.
Yeah.
But um, I think that Trek on the big screen needs to stop for a while. And then if they're going to do Trek on the big screen, it needs to be all new cast, crew, ship,
Setting.
issues, setting, aliens, problems, all new. Kind of use it as the launching board for a new series. That'd be a great way, in my opinion, to launch a new series. Don't make us wait for some stupid prequel movie nonsense that you're going to do. Start your story from the beginning. Give it to me from the beginning. Make it big, make it awesome. Put it up on the big screen. I'll pay. I'll get that movie ticket and go for that. And
Right.
to know that when you're saying to be continued at the end of the movie, it's because it's going to be continued on the small screen as a TV show. Go there.
It's
I
kind
would
of what they
absolutely.
tried doing with Section 31 in a sense, right?
No, they did it the opposite. See, Section 31 was supposed to be its own show, but they
Right.
took forever to get the show off the ground. And by the time they did, they could no longer afford their star character.
No. Right. Right.
And so now they have this product that they had to do something with because they had to get some kind of money from it. And so they were like, well, we're going to turn it into a movie. And the movie was a flop.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, and now we've got that movie out there and they're not going to do anything with it. There's no future Section 31 projects coming out. It's done. It's done. They're probably never going to mention Section 31 again.
Right.
So, well, all right. I think that will totally wrap it up for us on this episode. We've gone only slightly over this time, not crazy over like we've done in the past, but I expect that's going to change, especially as we hit the final episode
Oh
of
yeah,
the
that
show.
finale. If it's
Yeah.
basically two episodes in one, I imagine our episode is gonna be
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
nuts.
The finale is a big one, folks. So lock in, get your drinks, your
We'll have
popcorn,
to start early.
all
Start
your
at 8.
stuff.
Have to
Yeah, we might. Yeah,
start around 9.
we'll make an announcement. We'll make an announcement about that one as a special event, since that one will be will be the finale for at least the show's run.
Right.
So be prepared for all that. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us. And until next week when we do the penultimate episode, you guys take care of yourselves.
Thanks, guys.